Back and you watch the film of the scrimmage, anything kind of stand out to you?
It was about what we thought leaving the field. There's good and bad, probably more good than bad. That was encouraging. I think early on in spring ball, I think we got off to a little bit of a slow start versus our defense and the good stuff, and felt like towards the end of last week, we really started practicing a lot better, executing better, and probably was one of our better first scrimmages that we've had around here in a while. So a lot of good stuff, but obviously there's, I think, 128 plays, so there's a lot to coach off of, a lot of corrections to make. But, we've got a lot of guys out here. Everybody's getting reps and getting better. But, overall pleased with what I saw. I think the progress, I guess, that we're making. We're not ready to play right now by any stretch. But really pleased with the direction that we're moving right now.
What are your thoughts on T's progress so far?
Yeah, T's taken another step. He's a guy that has a lot of talent. I think as the season went last year, just the physical nature that a season takes on you as a freshman kind of caught up with him. He got banged up a little bit. Wasn't quite 100% there towards the end. But I think he's really worked on his body. He looks better out here running. Looks like he's a lot more, he's healthier, and he's made some good plays. And it's a process. Mike Williams, it was a several year process, just improving until you finally kind of turn that corner to be a dominant player. And I think T and DeAndre both have the potential to make that move, and they're on the path right now. That's why every day spring ball is critical for them.
He said he thought his biggest improvement was with his releases, but he said that he's also working hard on his blocking downfield. Obviously, that's not something that a lot of young guys get excited about, but have you seen him make a conscious effort in that department?
Yeah, obviously, we challenge those guys to be a complete receiver, not just a guy that can go make plays down the field on go balls, but really all the different scenarios. And like we talked about previously, they got some good guys they're going against. So if they're not just right on their releases, then it shows up in a hurry. They're not going to get away with any poor technique out here, but that's what makes you better. But he's been working on that, and he's also, even though he's still got a little bit of developing to do physically, he's a strong guy and can be a physical blocker. And I think I've seen him make some nice blocks and be able to finish some guys to the ground, so it's good.
When looking over your spring game tape or your scrimmage tape, what are your quarterbacks in the decision-making process that you're seeing from the four guys? What do you see in there?
Yeah, about what you would expect. I would say there's more good than bad. I would say we're probably somewhere in that 75% range as far as making the right decisions. And again, the defense, we're seeing about 3 games worth of defense in one scrimmage, and you're not really preparing for that. You're just putting in your install and worried about yourself. So these guys are getting a lot of stuff thrown at them. I wish I could tell you this one guy's taken off, but it's really not. These guys, I continuously catch myself because I'm watching my guys as the play's going on and see a great throw and great decision and go back and say, who threw it? And if I'm charting it, it's pretty even across the board. All those guys are having their moments, and then they also have some moments where making some poor decisions or the defense kind of caught them off guard a little bit. But I'm optimistic with where we are right now at quarterback.
Jeff, what's more important for them right now, like the decision-making that you're talking about, pre-snap or post-snap?
I think it's both. That's probably where the last 4 or 5 years defenses have changed the most. It used to just be where they kind of lined up pre-snap, and as the ball is snapped, they move. Now they're lining up, they're moving before the snap, and then as the ball snapped, they're moving back to something else. And as the RPO world and those things have gone on, you're looking at some things pre-snap, and then as soon as the ball snapped, your eyes go somewhere else. And it also is tied in with the fronts. When they're playing an odd front, it's a different guys when they're playing a 4-down front. So it's not as easy as separating. You do start with, when you're base teaching the quarterbacks, you start with the pre-snap reads, and then you work into the different post-snap movements. But, I mean, all four of those guys, I mean, Trevor's a guy that picks up things very quickly, which is not surprising to us, coming from Cartersville and playing for 4 years, and a very similar offense to what we're doing. But really, all those guys are at least the second level, if you will. I don't feel like we have any of those guys are kind of starting from the ground level.
You think Trevor, as far as his learning curve, cerebrally, is kind of on the same level as Deshaun was, or close?
Yeah, I mean he's picking up things very quickly. It doesn't look like a true freshman that showed up in January. I mean he's one of those guys that as soon as he learns it one time, he knows it, and he can regurgitate it and doing really good in meetings.
You said a few weeks ago he was like your 2-year-old a little bit, though. Is he still acting like your 2-year-old?
I think a lot of that is when I made that comment, it's kind of testing that arm strength, you know. And it's one thing as far as knowing what side of the field to go to. That's the first thing once the ball snapped, is figuring out based off the safety structure, am I working the field concept, I'm working the boundary concept. So some of those times whenever he's trying to fit that ball in there, it's not a situation where he's working the boundary and should have thrown to the field. It's where he knows he's in the boundary, but he thinks he can make that throw. And, and obviously the speed's a little bit different at the college level. And, again, we're not going to have to wait till the fall to be able to go against a fast secondary or a linebacker group. We get to see it right here. So that's a huge benefit that we have. But he's definitely tested. And he's made some too, so it's been fun to watch. But it's just kind of part of that process with the young players as they progress and learn.
I know you'll be excited to get Braden Galloway into the fold, but what have you seen from those tight ends, Milan and Cannon and Garrett?
Yeah, I think Milan and Cannon are doing well. Probably the biggest thing that jumps out is just Garrett. I mean, he's practicing as good as he has since he got here. I mean, before his injury, he's better. And that's rarely happens. Usually when you come back, they kind of have to work their way into it. But he's doing very, very well, and he's confident. That's a big thing when you come back from the injury, is he confident in making the cuts and the contact and all those things. But he's been very noticeable out here through the first 9 practices.
All set?
All right.